What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Face Mask Podcast. My name is John Alsace, and today we're talking about the biggest free agency loser. Okay, I don't know if he's the biggest free agency loser. He's the biggest under the radar free agency loser for me as it stands right now. And that's Dallas Goedert. Now, I've liked Dallas Goedert for a long time. And I've been looking forward to the breakout for this guy for kind of like forever now. And I'm always giving my Eagles fan friends crap because of how Brent Selleck, back in the day, was constantly hyped up as a fantasy tight end breakout candidate throughout his years as an Eagle, and he was always super meh, and they hate that. And as much fun as I have throwing that back at them, even years later, I do not want to see the same thing happen to Dallas Goedert. And for that to not happen, we need to see Zach Ertz on another roster. And that's the crux of this whole issue. My biggest free agency loser is Dallas Goedert because Ertz is still on the team, and I think it might stay that way. I thought we would have seen him be moved by now, but it's clear the Eagles value him much higher than the market value does. And I'm sure his contract comes into play too, because it's at $12 million with $7.7 million dead cap. And for what it's worth, the team gave him the go-ahead to seek trades about a month ago. But it's been super quiet on that front. Most teams are likely just holding out for them to eventually release him. But there's a chance, if there's no takers, instead of losing value for nothing, I think they could keep him around for another year until his contract can be voided with no cap consequences. Now, I'm not saying it's more likely than them outright releasing him, but it's a possibility going forward. Going into a year with an unknown QB commodity in Hurts, a young, unknown wide receiver commodity in Rieger, and to a lesser extent, their whole wide receiver core. A young, relatively unknown running back commodity in Sanders. A young, still unknown in terms of full potential commodity in Goedert at tight end. I think with all that said, as far as the makeup of their offense, I could see the benefit from a real-life NFL perspective of keeping a wily vet around like Zach Ertz to help this group of young, unproven, raw talent reach its ceiling, its potential. With him still on the roster, they currently still have the 7th most cap space in the NFL. So they have the room to keep him and to sign all their rookies. So it might be a smart real-life move to keep him, but it's a terrible value for both Ertz and Goedert from a fantasy perspective. We could see both of them replicate their seasons from last year, in which Goedert was the TE20 and Ertz was the TE32. Especially if the Eagles do what many expect them to do in the draft and go get another high-end wide receiver like they did last year in Rieger. Now, I've just not really heard anybody talking about Goedert in a positive or a negative manner this offseason. But I just have stay away vibes, considering if you go on Fantasy Pros and look at aggregate expert consensus ratings, he's the tight end 6 right now. Even if Ertz is out of the way, he's going to most likely be the 3rd or the 4th option for an unproven run-first quarterback or Joe Flacco, depending on how Hurts shakes out in the short term. And in the long term, if they decide to give it a run with Hurts, they're most likely he's going to be stuck with a run-first QB and or rookie in 2022. He's been hyped as a breakout candidate, and I'm just starting to see it less and less. Despite the obvious talent, the Eagles are projected to have better options at wide receiver, the same competition at tight end, and a lesser passer in 2021, who wins not by throwing dump-offs to the tight end like Wentz did, but by tucking the ball and running it, or for extending plays until they develop long down the field. So I'm just a super big fade on Goedert's TE6 ranking right now. And I think he's going to finish more around the TE16 to TE10 range, personally. Now, I know Nick is going to disagree with this completely because he still is of the mind that Jalen Hurts is going to finish as the quarterback 6, which, if you listen to one of our past pods on it, I think is crazy. He thinks is the expectation, well within the realm of possibility. We're going to differ on that one. But, all right, so I know I started off the video saying this is the biggest free agency loser. I know that's not the case. But do you at least see where I'm coming from with this analysis that's not based on numbers, stats, any sort of algorithms, anything like that? It's just based on looking at the depth chart, looking at the team, and putting 2 and 2 together from a cap perspective. What's best for an NFL team is not always what's best for a fantasy team. So thank you for listening. This is the Face Mask Podcast. It's been my pleasure bringing you this information. Take it easy, y'all.